like to, one thing I kind of learned from taking, I don't know if you guys know who Kevin Chen is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took one of his, well, I took a couple of his live drawing classes. One thing that he says is pretty accurate no matter what you do, and that's to always come back to life, always come back to things that are real, because you need to kind of reset yourself. If you keep doing things from the imagination, you tend to lose grasp of what they're supposed to be grounded in. So I kind of like to come back to images, like, you know, real cat anatomy, real, you know, photos of cats, or, you know, in this case, cats. But I want to make sure I ground myself, and then I'm not constantly guessing, because then you start to, you know, forget some of the things that you shouldn't overlook. So. And that's just, no matter what you do, you should always kind of, whether it's anatomy or whether it's, you know, fur you're trying to draw, whatever, always kind of come back to realism so you can ground yourself. Alright, I'm going to try to use this.
I think if you're looking at a front heavy cat, you should look at a Smilodon.
A what?
Saber-toothed cat.
You're making that.
It had that very front heavy look.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'm going to get really good reference since there's no actual images, no photographs of it. Try it. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of. Yeah, I think I'm going to abandon that, but I'm going to go. See how far this takes me.
You going for agility or should have a cheetah?
I tried for agility.
Anybody have any questions, anything that they want to, you know, ask me? Or no? You know, one thing I want to bring up too, I remember when I first, even before I got into the industry, I remember some of our friends that, who first started in the industry like a few months before I did, and they were telling me about this guy they knew that was like a texture artist, who didn't like sharing his textures or didn't like showing him showing him their showing him his techniques, or I'm sorry, showing them his techniques. Sorry, confused. But anyways, he didn't like showing his techniques off because I guess he was paranoid that people were going to take his style and get a better job than him, or whatever. As far as that is concerned, as far as competition in general is concerned, that's counterproductive in a lot of ways. Number one, you earn yourself a reputation for doing shit like that. And number two, in general, when you work at a company, you're supposed to be a team effort. You can't, hold back things and, let other people kind of, live by the wayside. You have to help everybody. Everybody has to be good. Everybody has to be, you want your project to be awesome and as best as you can. It's only as good as your weakest link, so to speak. So that type of mentality, don't even let that cross your mind doing shit like that, because it's really not cool. And especially even if you're a freelancer, you don't let yourself get bogged down thinking that this guy's going to take my shit and he's going to be better than me. The whole point of competition is to get better. So if somebody, takes what you've done and made it better, well, that's fuel for your fire to make you a better person. If you become stagnant, or you're concerned that somebody else, like I said, is going to do what you've been doing, or get good at what you've been doing and become even better, then stagnancy is not a good place to be no matter what. And that's essentially what that guy's doing to himself, is he's earning a bad reputation and he's becoming stagnant. All
right, Eric, I'll show you my tricks.
Sweet, thanks. I feel better. But anyways, don't let that happen. And if you know somebody who's like that, just I don't know. What can you do, right? I'm trying to give this guy a hunch here, so it feels a little bit more, predatory. Maybe
Oh, he looks really good.
this guy's face. This guy's cool. I like this one because his look is very mean. He's got an intrinsic angry look. Let's see if we can bring some of that.
His eye and his mouth don't follow the same pattern.
is to subtly trying to create some rhythm here, and a lot of that rhythm is coming from these fins. The rhythm is kind of like this and this. Everything's coming to like a point, which is his head. Especially for aggressive animals, that tends to be a good way to go.
I think he probably needs a bigger jaw muscle though.
Sure, yeah.
There.
That's a good point.
There's really not enough that I can really see that he's a real carnivore. If you look at a lion, they have a really strong lower jaw muscle, and then on their upper jaw, like right where it meets, like on behind their eye, their temple, it's a really strong muscle there.
Isn't that the master? The bone's called the master, right?
Thank you, yeah.
Same thing. Same thing. Yes. Yes.
So the other day, I'll just tell you the story just because it made me happy. I emailed Dan Milligan. Do you guys know who that is?
Yes.
He
He's awesome.
right, storyboard artist. He's kind of known for a lot of things, but he did storyboards for 300. And I just randomly emailed him just to see if I get a response from him, just to say hi, and I'm kind of looking to move into the film industry, this, that, and the other. And I kind of wanted to see if he would, be somebody I could talk to about, you know, making that move, that transition. And he emailed me back, surprisingly enough, and he's like, dude, are you kidding me? I should be talking to you about who, you know, you helping me in the industry, because your shit is awesome. And I was like, sweet. So it kind of made me happy, dude, that he liked my work.
He consummated you.
Yeah.
I said the same thing to me. I didn't know.
You're on the other line.
I don't get good news that often. I don't get good news that often, so I just wanted to share that. That was great.
Eric, I'm gonna have a beer tonight in your name. How's that?
That sounds great.
With Brandon. So he's gonna help you out?
He said he bookmarked my site.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he said that he said that I should have no problem getting a job. He said it's just a matter of getting my stuff in front of the right people.
And he's one of those right people.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Do you say he was gonna pass out?
Actually, I'll tell you this, another story too that's kind of related, is that you guys know who Paul Desane is?
Yep.
If you don't know who he is, he did a lot of stuff for Surf's Up, that movie. And I know that movie's a flop, but it's actually kind of good. But he's mostly known for, he did some art direction for Lord of the Rings and some kind of like general mood paintings. I'm not sure how many of the Lord of the Rings movies, but I know at least like the first 2 or something like that. Anyways, I randomly went to his blog site, did the same thing, and he got me a job.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
What are you doing?
I did some stuff for Sony, but it never came out. The movie never came out.
So what was it?
It didn't have a title.
Was it the alien thing?
Yeah. The director was the guy who directed The Hitcher.
Hitchhiker?
No, The Hitcher. I think it's called The Hitcher, the one with Sean Bean.
The Hitchhiker.
Is it called The Hitchhiker or The Hitcher?
It's the Hitcher.
Or is it the Hitchhiker?
It is the Hitchhiker, but it used to be the Hitchhiker.
Yeah. So it was cool. I got to meet with him, and we were, you know, talking about, you know, designing stuff. I don't know. It was a cool experience. I've never met somebody who's actually like, you know, a director, somebody of that status.
That's cool, man.
Any questions, comments, concerns at this point?
So you're just
He's awesome.
fleshing out this rough, like refleshing out this rough. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm just, you know, kind of doing what I was telling you guys before about making sure you got a good face, good feet, good hands. Just want to make sure that this face is, you know, something to look at, and it's not like, what the fuck. Like, I felt like if I would have left you with this one, you guys would have been highly disappointed in me.
So you're going to go in and actually paint in the texture, the scales, or is that something you'll do with?
You know what? You could. I'm gonna just not.
I don't really like to see what you do with your character too.
Yeah.
What we're
I need to get to that one anyway, so I only have like a little over an hour to deal with it. Thomas is saying, hurry the fuck up, dude.
Pretty much.
Hey, hurry the fuck up. Please.
Sweet. So, okay, let's just kind of recap here. All right. Original, right? A little more aggressive. Body, I mean, you know, the legs, arms, head, like it definitely feels more front heavy now. Here I think it's a little bit more evenly distributed. Another thing to think about too, whenever you're designing, no matter what type of creature character you're designing, always use thick and thin. You know, thick lines. I'm sorry, not just thick lines, thin lines. I'm not just talking about line weight. I'm also talking about thick right here versus thin right here. You know, ways to differentiate shapes, ways to kind of push and pull forms. You know, you don't want to have. You know, his legs would have been better, you know, like this, of course, as an omnivore or herbivore. But we could have pushed other things on his body to push that thick versus thin. Like maybe his, like as in rhino bodies, in a rhino body, his body would be super massive in comparison to the legs, right? He'd be really big and stout. Whereas here, there's a lot of things that are of similar thickness. The tail's kind of similar to the legs, which the body's kind of still not too far outside of the realm of the thickness of the legs. So pushing more of those so that you have more differentiation, more variety, that would help. So I'm not going to go too much further, but you know, I asked her to do some, you know, studies with having like a muzzle or some kind of something to grab a hold of him to show he's like a pet, maybe a kind of a neck tag thing. But does that help? You guys?
Yeah.
Sleep? Yeah. Right. Cool. On to my shit. So I'm just going to save that into if you want to look at it. Oh, no. Right. Now let's work on this guy. All right. What am I going to do? So I started a little bit here to do some texturing. I'll show you what I did.
CGI are you using?
Now you're on 300. You upped it.
I did up it. The reason why, too, is because of his face. I couldn't do it. It was just too pixelated when I was doing his face. I would definitely probably like to take some more passes on his face too, just because it feels. I want to get more wrinkles, more ugliness in there. It feels a little too cartoony and not as punchy enough.
Yeah, the plastic feels like it's kind of just floating in front as opposed to sinking into it.
Right. There's a lot of things. Like a lot of this plastic, I had to just kind of whip through it. Like it's still brush stroke. I mean so we can see what's finished and what's not. There's a few different things here. I added wrinkles here. Wrinkles are not hard to do. You just got to know when and where to do them. A lot of it you can see is happening in compression areas. What I wanted to do, the feeling I wanted to push was that he's not comfortable in this thing. That's part of what's pissing him off, is that he's got to kind of like, be in this fucking contraption all the time, right? So I wanted him to feel uncomfortable and look uncomfortable. Hence, these tubes, I didn't want them just being plugged into him. That looks too comfortable. I wanted tubes underneath his fucking skin, like he's got to deal with all this weird, wiring. I need to render that out a little bit better because here, for example, it could be a little tighter and more explanatory.
Like the skin's pulling your tires.
Yeah, there's some skin that's being pulled here, some that's being wrinkled up here. I wanted to push wrinkles more too because I wanted him to not only look uglier but feel like his skin is a little aged. So you might not see all these wrinkles here and here. I haven't done too much of it yet in his face, but I wanted him to feel like his skin is kind of sagging a little bit just due to age. Things like this, I didn't just put a light device here and just kind of like plant it on top of the skin. I kind of pushed it into his skin. So I'm pushing up skin around it to show you that. What else? I just with a brush, like a little splatter brush, I just quickly indicated like in the highlight areas, skin, like skin reflection. It wouldn't be just a hard sheen like this. I'd probably go in there and get a little bit more of a diffuse skin reflection. What else? Yeah, I mean veins. The other thing too, you'll notice like it's kind of subtle here, but like there's like a veininess to his skin. That's really easy to do.
And that was just custom drawn by you, right? You didn't use like a texture.
Right. I'll show you what I did. You can do a lot of things with that. I remember I watched a Neville Page Gnomon DVD, and basically he did something with veins where he looked at an eyeball reference, like a retina reference, and basically outlined a vein that was kind of like this, and just made a vein brush, and then like painted those veins all over the place, and then just lightened it. That's kind of cool. Or you can do something, basically what I did is this. I mean, you can take that. You just need a suggestion of it. You don't need exact looking veins. You can if you want. It's just depends on how far you want to take it. And then you just turn the opacity down. See.
Pretty disgusting.
So if I think his nipples need a lot of veins around it. Rinse away here. But yeah, and that's what I did is I made it was basically the same opacity throughout the whole image, and I kind of covered his body with this vein thing, and then I lightened the opacity, and then also erased away certain areas that like for example here, there's a lot less vein work than there is here.
Like where there would be more fat, less vein.
Yeah, you know what? And it was kind of, there was a little bit of two things. It was a little bit of areas where skin vein would show more because it's more at the surface, and also just a little bit of just randomness. I just kind of randomly brought up and or something.
What's that line going down from the square light to the round light?
This?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a poorly rendered tube. That's what I was saying earlier. I gotta fix that. It doesn't fit. I might even take it out because I don't know that it's necessary. It doesn't really go with it kind of breaks the flow of some of these wrinkles. And that's another thing I need to rethink. I think is I need to make sure I have an interesting rhythm, compositionally. Even though this guy is not in an environment to say composition with, we still need to have a sense of rhythm within the framework of his body. And there really isn't. Everything's kind of all over the place. So I want to address that as well. So I'm going to go into textures right now. Get some textures, overlaying them. I don't think CG Texture really has good skin reference. Prepare to be disgusted.
You promise?
That's a feature.
Dude, the left one.
Holy shit.
Far left. There you go.
Alright, this one,
Oh my god.
That's pretty delicious. Who's hungry?
That's fake.
It's Two-Face.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good though.
The best stuff is the real shit.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, it is this. I mean, I hate looking at the shit, but
No, you
it's
don't.
actually the best. I'm really psycho. That's kind of cool, but it's too low res. And by cool, I mean it's not cool that he got burned.
There's the dead one.
It doesn't even look real.
There's another one in the body bag though.
Oh shit! You guys ready?
Yeah.
Do it.
No.
It's low res. Crispy.
This is very nice.
Yeah.
It's well done.
Who's hungry?
Nice.
Can you find one that's like medium rare?
It's just like Jurassic.
It's kind of crazy.
I like my
isn't it?
extra.
Like I always thought in movies people die in that crazy, like screaming position, but I guess you can die in. Oh,
Well, with Pompeii, the people were still screaming.
dude. Oh, really?
What's left over of them, and they're actually like in the pose of actually like trying to cover themselves in
Right.
the ash.
Yep.
It's actually kind of cool.
Is that real? See what this is all about.
David Rothberger? David Rothberger?
Oh, not like that.
Oh, it's a statue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not so much I'm concerned about.
Just
I
a rock
like
building.
this texture right here. That might be cool.
Is that you?
And actually, I'm kind of going off the path because I just want to get a regular skin texture here. Not necessarily. But I think I'm going to use the kind of a messed up skin texture also in other places. I know I'm going to get really.
Put rash, or put, what's that food that Logan has?
Scarlet fever.
Scarlet fever.
Oh, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, Scarlet Fever produced some.
High res.
There
There
it
it
is.
is. It's a good one.
That's pretty good.
Finger.
Nice.
That looks fucking delicious.
Finger.
It's actually like Thomas's genitals, dude.
Serious.
Good look.
I'll put rash. Oh, whoa.
Doing your thing.
Put him boil.
Actually, like, it's cool except
Put
for
oil.
some of the, like, this is cool.
By accident.
You know the-
I mean, my reflector? Polymer and more.
Oh!
Yeah,
Why you never look at
This is kind of good. Like,
yeah, that's good. It did now. General, nothing.
So does that mean I have to start us disgusting?
Dude, put flesh in
No,
his
no.
This is general.
There you go. That's nice.
Alright, hold on. Oh, I don't want to know what that thing is. Looks strangely familiar. Whoa.
That's what they do.
I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Yeah!
It was all tape.
Somebody take a hot screwdriver to that.
His arm on the grill, which is a split second, his entire arm was burned from here. It, like,
Whoa.
boiled up. Oh my god.
Like, who are these people who are like, yes, I'll stand here and show you my rash naked? How do I get that? Like, why? That's like the last thing I'm thinking about. If I had a rash in that area, I'd be like, yo, dude, this is completely private. I'm not telling anybody.
Oh my god.
Alright, so this is some good stuff. This is some pretty good stuff.
It's freaking nasty.
Scarlet Fever has an
Fried chicken?
I just want to see what the rest of the Scarlet Fever is.
It looks
Put
like
Scarlet
little
Fever in, dude.
puppets.
Scarlet Fever, really?
Yeah.
Oh, just
I
be a
just
red
wanna-
rash.
Look nasty. Everything suffered.
Yeah, except for the poor kid that had it all over his mouth.
Warren me, Thomas, you're boring me.
I didn't tell you, well, they're.
You
Boring,
told me.
Thomas.
There's that kid in the
Is there
corner.
a camera?
Wow.
Is that what he
That's
said?
like, that would have to be really bad.
What's that condition? It's
That's
called
a really bad
Rosettia?
one.
Rosettia?
It doesn't get that
Called
bad.
Rosacea?
Usually.
Rosacea?
Usually.
I've never seen it that bad.
It's still.
My logo is very
Virgin.
Gordon,
Oh,
you've
what's
never
that
seen
picture?
it.
I didn't know what it was. It's just a strep virus. Or excuse me, a strep bacteria.
Good, I get to make fun of.
Alright, this is,
Wonder Woman.
yeah, Wonder Woman. What, did she have anything to do with Scarlet Fever?
Everything. You didn't read the news?
Yeah. What's that? Actually, this is kind of cool. I wonder if that's got some weird. Yeah, it's not really.
Someone just didn't brush their tongue.
Yeah, no kidding. Brush your
Scabies.
I already looked at that. It's disgusting.
What is it? Scabies?
Scabies.
How do you spell it?
SCAVIES, I think.
Eric, you scared me a little bit.
B? It's a B. It's, there you go.
B?
Okay, there you go.
Scabies?
Yep, that's it.
Little growing parasites in your skin.
Dude, why do they gotta show the pubes, dude?
You okay, Dana?
That will happen.
It's just the right touch of sexy, you know?
That
It's like,
will
My
happen.
hand is awesome.
Can they not go down there?
Yeah, you've never had your tablet just like lose its crazy mind like that?
There you go.
Those things are crazy.
Yeah, people don't really think of, like, people don't want to take a picture of this girl.
Picture my rash. Make sure it's good.
Alright, so I think we got something that's fairly good here. Like it's, oh, dude. Oh, hot stuff.
Ruby Gloucester.
Yes. So disgusting.
I think we got enough time. What I don't really have is like,
Yes.
just like regular ass skin, dude. I'm gonna play with the skin.
You ever had second degree burns?
Some of the skin is falling off.
Yeah.
You could like peel it.
You got like bubble and then you gotta prod it.
There's like individually burned with the water ingredient or something. It's juicy.
I
All
fell
from here
asleep in the
down.
sun.
Right on that.
I think I'm full. Why armor? No.
I'm not. I'm hungry.
I want to get out of the school because I think something is here with my allergies go out of whack.
It's the air conditioner. It makes my eyes very, very.
Yeah, but I've never been this sniffly before. I've been sniffly all day. I cannot breathe. That's horrible.
That's cool.
Alright, so I'm gonna start off with this stuff, see how far I can get.
How do you like CS4 so far?
Indistinguishable yet so far. But I mean, I haven't gotten into the things that have actually changed either, so.
I can't stand it.
These sound tissues.
Thumbs up. Well, CS4 if you have a good graphics card, it's fine.
It's great on my machine.
Of course.
How do you?
No,
Like
it's
I
like
said,
computers.
Oh.
I must say that is a really good likeness to the actual, to the original Darth Vader.
The old man that comes out. So here's what I usually do. First thing I do, almost all the time, is if I'm using this, I'll go to desaturation, completely desaturated, so it's got no color, because I don't almost always I don't use the color that's in the actual image. So I'll turn it into a black and white image. Turn it into an overlay layer so you can preserve textures. No, I don't always paint. I don't always paint using textures, but you know, sometimes I do, especially for stuff I really, really, really need to push the realism. Now, one thing I like here, you'll notice, is that the wrinkles are following. It's a good match. What I'm
You
doing.
get a nice little break between the chest and the stomach.
Yeah.
Really different texture breaks.
Yeah, and the texture change is good, transition. I don't know if I really want to make it this wrinkly down here, so I'll probably erase some of that away. But I do want them to feel old, and I do want there to be just overall a general skin texture across the whole thing, so we get out of kind of like cartoon land and into, you know, reality. So what I'll do is I'll put a mask on it. One technique too, I don't know that I've really shown you, that I do a lot, is sometimes I'm heavy-handed with things. I'll throw down a line, or I'll throw down shadow or something like that, and and it's too much, too crazy. So I'm really, as liberal as I am with the brush, I'm equally liberal with the eraser. So I like to throw things down, get them down there, and start knocking them back so that they feel like they're within the same plane, so to speak, or same range of detail even. So, you know, don't be afraid to get in there and knock things back with your eraser if they punch too much or if they're too noticeable.